Hi guys, welcome back to another lesson from Art School Media. My name is Gavin O'Donnell and I'll be taking you through the lesson today. This is our reference. I'm going to put this to the side for a moment and we're going to take a look at how to set up the drawing aid for the Bridge of Life. So if you'd like to take a look at in step one, we've got a square and a diamond on the left and the same on the right hand side. We're going to draw them in first and then we're going to line them up with our squares in step 2 and our diamonds in step 3. So if you'd like to take your drawing aid and place it about 3 inches down from the top of the page so it's nice and centered. I'm going to grab a 2H pencil and I'm going to hold down my stencil firmly and I'm going to draw in the diamond and the square on the right hand side first, and then I'm going to draw them in on the left hand side. When I've got these drawn in, then I'm going to move into the elements in the step 1. I'm just drawing these in very lightly. I'm not holding my pencil down too hard. It's just a very low pressure. So you should be left with that after step 1. For step 2 then, we're going to line up the 2 squares, get these as accurate as possible, and once you're happy with the placement of the squares, move in and draw in the elements of step 2. Again, nice and lightly, not too hard, and keep a low pressure on your pencil. So you should be left with something like that after step 2. When you're happy with that, place the drawing aid up against the drawing for step 3 and line up your 2 diamonds. And then we're going to draw in the bottom of the bridge. And then a few of the beams. So after you've done all 3 steps, you should be left with this. I'm now going to move into the drawing. I'm going to start over on the right hand side. I'm going to start off with some of the shrubbery. Oh yeah, and just erase out your squares and diamonds because we don't need them anymore. And they'll get in the way. So I'm just going to start off with one of the posts on the bridge. Just sketched in the top of it, and then I'm going to lightly draw in some of these trees to suggest them. And again, we're going to do the same thing with this post. I'm just going to turn the top of it into a little triangle and divide it up. If you just look back and forth to your reference, you'll be able to get this nice and accurate. And then I'm just shading in the spaces behind the bridge. I'm just going to add some darker lines then to the posts, make them stand out a bit more from the background. And then just some of these beams here, I'm just getting some, see how they come over on top of the post, and some of them disappear behind it. I'm just erasing out some little parts of the beams just to get some more lighter values in there. And I'm just going to continue on with shading some of the background sections in here between the bridge. I'm doing all this with a 2H pencil. For some of the darker lines then I'm using a mechanical pencil. So I'm just continuing to shade the background here. And now I'm working on the bottom of the bridge. I've got my mechanical pencil and I'm going to add some shading to that bottom section. As you can see in your reference, that area is a little bit darker. And then one of our lines that was given to us from the drawing aid, we're just going to erase that out for the post on the very right hand side, because that disappears behind the hedges and trees. So there's leaves and stuff popping over that. Then just beneath the bridge here, there's a little kind of cornered wall. And that goes off in two directions. It's like a V shape. Again, I'm just erasing out some of the lines that was given to us from the drawing aid. I'm going to draw in some of these reeds. And just take note of how I'm holding the pencil. So my grip is quite far back, and this allows me to do these nice curved sketchy lines that aren't too heavy. I'm just continuing to build these up. I'm leaving some little spaces. I'm continuing to shade in and build up the values of the shades. I'm just doing a little cross-hatched technique. This is a nice way to build up your shades. So a cross-hatch technique is just where you do lines in one direction and then do lines in the complete opposite direction and cross them over one another, and this will give you a cross-hatch technique. So I've just grabbed my mechanical pencil here and I'm working in some darker areas into my drawing. You can be nice and loose with this area on the right hand side for the trees and the bushes. I'm just going to do a couple of layers. I've picked up my 2H pencil again and I'm going over the areas that I just put in. Again, I'm just going to erase out some of the lines that was given to us from the drawing aid, just for the water, and then there's a little back wall just beneath the bridge there. There's a few more reeds then to the left hand side, so we're just going to start working them in now. Just after I draw this post here, I'm just darkening up the lines of the edges of this. Just get some of the lines of these beams in. And again with this top beam, just take your time with this. The top beam divides into two, so you need to draw a line right in the middle of those that split them up. So just watch out for that. And the beam that's behind will disappear into the post at the back. So make sure you don't go over that part. So I'm just going to continue building these up and making sure they don't get too dark, because we want them to stand out from the background. So I just pick up my eraser every now and then and just brighten up the middle of them if I've shaded them in a little bit too much. And again, I'm just continuing to darken up these posts. And for the bottom of the bridge, I was just doing this little kind of wavy line, very small little waves, and it just gives the bridge that nice little edge that it has. Again, I'm repeating the process I did a few minutes ago, where I was just shading in the background of the bridge just to make it stand out a little bit more. So this section, 4 posts in, we're going to have these trees. So if you just want to count in, make sure you're at the right post, and behind that post then we've got these 2 little trees that pop out, and they're surrounded by dark hedges. So I'm just continuing my crosshatch technique, and I'm just working in some loose shading just to give the idea of the leaves and bushes. I'm just going to darken up the bottom of the bridge now. I've taken my mechanical pencil and I'm working in some of these wavy lines that the bridge has, and then under that we're going to have a bit of dark shading. And again, I'm working in these wavy lines, and under those wavy lines we've got darker areas. Now I've only gone about a little bit more than halfway with this section of the bridge because that disappears behind the little tree in front of the bridge, so we're not going to go all the way with that section. So if you'd just like to take that a little bit more than halfway, I'm going to continue darkening up these posts. I'm using my mechanical pencil. I'm just working the tops of these, the little triangle at the top there. Working in some more shading now for the background behind the bridge. Crosshatch technique again here. Now continuing on over behind the bridge, I'm just working in some more shades with my 2H pencil, just giving it this very light wash. A few crosshatch lines. And then that was just my netted eraser. Let's use that to lighten up some spots now and again. Now we're going to take a look at the bottom of the bridge, just underneath. There was a few little lines there on the right that I popped in, but I'm just going to work on the little tree now to the left hand side. Start sketching in these lines, the darker areas. And then just the edge of this little this shrub at the top. And that will disappear on out to the left hand side, and it comes up over a lot of the beams that we drew in from our drawing aid. So I've erased them out just now, so we no longer need them because they disappear behind this. I'm taking a look at these reeds now. I've got my mechanical pencil and I'm sketching in some of the darker areas. I'm just going to continue to build these areas up. Now I'm sketching in the water. Again, like earlier on, I've taken a very low grip, or a very high grip on my pencil. And this allows me to do these nice kind of wispy lines going across. This is nice for when you're doing the water. And I'm just keeping it very light. So I'm just going back and forth between my 2H pencil and my mechanical pencil. The mechanical pencil lead is about 2B, so it's a little bit darker. And this is just another eraser that I have. You can do this with a normal eraser if you break it up, and then you have a nice sharp part. And you can use this then to erase out little highlights. Now I'm just sketching in the reflection of the reeds. Just note how they come out. They're kind of like upside down V shapes, the way they come out. Just continue to build on the water, adding some darker spots. And we have another little bush then behind our front tree. Taking my mechanical pencil again and I'm darkening up the edge of this tree at the front. And then we're going to start working in some of the leaves. Again, it's just lots of spread out little spots of shading. They're nice and random. I was just erasing out another spot of the bridge there that I didn't need to bring our leaves in there. I'm just going to continue on with these posts. I'm going to repeat the same process that I used for the other ones. I'm just going to darken up the edges of them, and then in between them we're going to have the shading from the background. And we just have our little triangles at the top, and then a little kind of square shape, and then that goes down into the post. And don't forget your little beams in between the last two posts. And again, that one was a little bit too dark in the middle, so I just brightened it up a little bit. I'm just finishing this off now with some light shading around the edges. I'm taking my low or my high grip again, and just adding some little bits of shading here and there on the bridge, just to the whiter parts. But that's more or less it now. Make sure that you guys sign your drawing when you're finished. And thanks for joining us. See you next time, guys.